Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Chad. I'm back here for BetHubb.com, ready to preview and give you guys my prediction on the big game, which is, of course, the Super Bowl. And it's very sad for me to have to wave goodbye to the season and end my favorite segment of every single week, giving you guys my top 3 NFL selections, something that I've done for the past 4 seasons, dating back to my time with InTheOT.com and several other websites that I produced weekly picks videos for. Now, before we get down to breaking down the Super Bowl here with BetHubb.com, I just want to quickly recap what happened in the conference championship wagers that I gave you guys. We had a solid 2-1 mark with the 49ers holding off and winning by the 3.5 that I said they would. And of course the over, the biggest play that I had that was never in doubt in the first half when it just went absolutely berserk with all those points. We did have a loser with the over in the New England Baltimore football game. Truth be told, if that wager opportunity presented itself again, I would absolutely hammer it. There were so many points left on the field by New England as they were just absolutely inept every time they entered the Baltimore side of the football field. That's history now. We can look at the fact that heading into the Super Bowl, I have an even 500 record on the year, something I take a lot of pride in terms of producing a winning record every single year for you guys. So I guess it all comes down to this, the big Super Bowl. Well, unfortunately, I won't have 3 picks to determine this because there really is just one side in total. And I could, throw in a teaser if I really wanted to, but I really just am not feeling a teaser here for the Super Bowl. So I'm not going to force it, and we'll use the 2 plays. We'll see if I finish 2 games over 500, 2 games under, or a flat 500 on the year. And I'm also going to give you guys a bit of a precursor into the fact that I have a ton of proposition wagers, which you can, of course, find on BetHubb.com and get involved with that as well. Check out the link below. It will lead you directly there. We'll do that in another video because we just want to strictly talk about the game from a point spread perspective and the totals here, and I'll give you guys what I'm going to be wagering on. Let's first start off with the total, which I absolutely love here in the Super Bowl. And just like I selected the over in the San Francisco-Atlanta game, I'll be doing this once again here in the Super Bowl. And I think a lot of this has to do with the style of both of these teams and the way we're going to see some points here. The early number, the very first number that came out was in the low 50s, and I thought, okay, maybe that's about right. But once I've seen this number beaten all the way down to 47, it gets me in play with the over here with my top selection here in the Super Bowl because of the fact that what we've seen here with Colin Kaepernick is just an absolute diverse ability to move the football both on the ground and through the air. And that is going to cause some havoc for this Baltimore defense, which has been good in the playoffs, but don't be deceived by the fact that they haven't given up a ton of points because they are giving up yardage, and eventually that's going to result in points being put up. Like I just said, the New England offense was terrible from an execution standpoint a couple weeks ago in the AFC Championship. Denver was still able to get theirs, and Indianapolis had 450 yards against them in the first game of the playoffs. So, this Baltimore defense that has been aging the last couple of years, they might have gotten it together a little bit the last couple of weeks, but I think their true colors and their overall season statistics come more into play here in the Super Bowl, and they do get torched like they have been throughout most of the regular season. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're not facing a traditional quarterback from a conference that they've seen all these years, like a Peyton Manning and a Tom Brady. Colin Kaepernick is just going to be too much for them to handle, and we've seen him being able to beat teams both ways. We saw him run like crazy against Green Bay, and then when Atlanta took that away from him in the NFC Championship, he went to the air, and that's what I expect to see happening here. The fact that this game is played indoors at the Louisiana Superdome is a huge advantage to the 49er offense because of the fact that they have a lot more speed and athleticism that they can use to their advantage. I look for Frank Gore to go wild. I look for Vernon Davis to get open up the middle. I look for Crabtree to make plays downfield. Kaepernick, I think that not only will they get the balls in the hands of the playmakers, San Francisco, they're going to get a lot of additional yardage after the catch. They have a fantastic offensive line that buys times. They're a terrific blocking team. Anytime you give Harbaugh and Roman an extra week to prepare offensively for a team that doesn't have an outstanding defense, that they even have a little bit of tape on from last year that was able to shut them down, although it was with Alex Smith, I look for them to continue scoring at the rapid pace that they have had under Colin Kaepernick. The reasons that I like the over against Atlanta all are very much applicable here in this game. Every single time they've gone up against good quality opponents is when they've been able to score this year. Some of their lower scoring games have come against teams that are not as capable offensively as Baltimore, which causes them to be a little bit more conservative. It's the Super Bowl. It's full metal, gas metal to the pedal, whatever the freaking analogies. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's going to be full out guns a-blazing here with this San Francisco offense. And I just see that the middle of the field for Baltimore not being able to tackle them and being able to move the ball at will. I see them easily scoring into the mid to high 20s. And for the Baltimore Ravens, I expect them to be able to put up some points offensively. The entire year they've geared themselves to transitioning themselves into being more of an offensive team than their history of being a defensive team. And this has to do with the emergence of Joe Flacco, who's continued to improve every single year in his career. We've seen what he's been able to do in the playoffs, absolutely lighting it up, going downfield. And when you look at San Francisco, just like Atlanta and just like Green Bay, they ain't going to be able to run the football on this team. Nobody can. So they know the only way to move the ball is to throw it through the air, and we know Joe Flacco is capable of doing that. We know the San Francisco defense, if there's any vulnerability, it is in that secondary. They're very high risk, high reward. They like to go for the big turnover, which can lead to some big plays downfield. Flacco has a tremendous arm. Torrey Smith has breakaway speed to make plays. Bolden's catching everything. Pitta, Dixon, they've got options to go up the middle and make plays as well. Ray Rice can come out of the backfield. Pollard, they have plenty of options to move the football down the field. And I believe that San Francisco, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge to my side wager, will be leading for a majority of this game, which will force Baltimore to be throwing the ball more often than not. And the fact that they know they won't be able to run will cause them to be in that spot. So based on all of that, I expect them to move the ball downfield. I expect them to score in the 20s as well. So if I think that San Francisco will score into the high 20s, and Baltimore will score into the 20s, that means we'll be going over the 47 points. I absolutely love the over in this Super Bowl. Excuse me. And when you think about the fact that it is indoors, I think that has a lot to do with it as well. There's no weather to worry about here. They should be able to have some big plays downfield due to the fact that it is on a fast track, sort of like I remember that Dallas a few years ago, when Green Bay was playing Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had the great defense. Green Bay's defense was playing good heading into the Super Bowl. It was just an absolute explosion of points. So we like the over quite a bit there. Now, from the side perspective, I'm not quite as confident. If I get a flat 3 with San Francisco, I'd be all over it. But 3.5, I'm still willing to lay it down. And you know what? If you can even find a money line, that's probably the way I'd go. If you can get minus 160 or better, it's a bit of a discount because of the fact that there's so much public action on the underdog here. And when it comes to the Super Bowl, a lot of times people just want to go straight money line. So generally, when you see a minus 3.5, minus 4, you should have to lay about minus 200 on that money line, but you see a bit of a discount at minus 160-ish right now, minus 170. If you can get minus 150 or lower, I think there's tremendous value because I still do believe the 49ers are the better overall football team. Now, I understand that Baltimore's played terrific football. I mean, they've won back-to-back games as more than touchdown dogs against Peyton Manning and Tom Brady on the road. I mean, you think about that, it's like, well, what if they can win those games, why can't they beat San Francisco? Well, the reason why they can't beat San Francisco is the 49ers are better than both of those teams because they're just a little bit more physical defensively, which I think could create some issues for Baltimore's offense. Not to say that they won't be able to get theirs. I mean, I like the over. They're going to be able to move the ball, but I think that they might be able to create a few more turnovers. You have to believe that Flacco will have a bit of a regression to the mean. He can't play this amazing every single game, and San Francisco can force those turnovers and turn them into quick points. I think the fact that they played Atlanta last week with the passing ability downfield and Green Bay the weeks before, has allowed them to be, able to understand the abilities of some of these quarterbacks that can move the ball downfield. So a good defensive team with an extra week to prepare for the third straight week going against an aerial attack downfield should make them more well prepared. Atlanta came out guns a-blazing in the first half in the NFC Championship. We saw them make the adjustments in the second half. And I think that could be a factor here against Baltimore in the Super Bowl. The fact that they played in Atlanta in a very similar dome in the NFC South gives them a bit of a similar environment that they're used to for the Super Bowl game versus Baltimore, who's played in more colder outdoor environments. So it might be more difficult for them to adjust being inside. And I think just overall that San Francisco is more athletic. They're a little bit younger. And I think that they're just going to be able to make the bigger plays when it comes down to it. I think that they're going to be able to get a lot of yards after the catch offensively and defensively. I think they're going to be able to make a lot more tackles than Baltimore, who might be able to move the ball a little bit, but won't be able to bust open the big plays quite as easily. They might settle for a few more field goals. I just think overall San Francisco, from a metric standpoint, have better numbers across the board this year. Baltimore is, now getting a little bit too much respect from the public. And anytime you see the public backing an underdog more than 60%, I'm always intrigued in betting on the favorite, especially when you're laying a shorter price like this. A lot of times people think, oh, look what Baltimore did on the road. They can't be favored. They can't be an underdog by this much. San Francisco barely beat Atlanta, this team that was a fraud all year long. Well, you know what? They fell down 17-0. That's damn impressive to come back against Atlanta on the road. This game, they're not on the road. This is a neutral field. And, it's not like it was in Atlanta where they have to go up against that hostile environment. And I think that they learned a lot about that slow start, and they're going to come out guns a-blazing here. I'm not absolutely in love with this play. Trust me, if there was a full NFL normal weekend of games in the regular season, it might not even make my card. But the bottom line is, here it's the Super Bowl. We have to be betting on this at BetHubb.com. And overall, how dare you turn that football on for Super Bowl Sunday and not wager it on it? I start getting phone calls here from people that bet once a year, and it's only on the Super Bowl to ask me what I think. So even the most casual fans that never bet on anything need to have some action on it. So that's why you need to get your account ready to go here in the next few days, so you're not, panicking on Sunday. What do I have to do to get my bets in? Start it now. Get onto BetHubb.com. The link is below. I've already put my 49er bets out there. I've already put my over wagers out there. You guys come and bet me, and if you like my bet, propose yours the same way with the 49ers and the over. And there's plenty of Baltimore backers and under bettors there that would like to take your action as well. So, and there's also the prop bets, which we'll get here too in the next video. And it's Super Bowl weekend. I can't wait for this. The game's going to be absolutely phenomenal. BetHubb.com, Chad M, season ending, NFL picks video here. Let's make some money on the Super Bowl. I'll check you guys out at the website on the sports blog. And I'll say goodbye. See you next year for the 2013-14 NFL campaign.